Hello everyone, in today's tutorial we are going to go from this to this. This tutorial you're going to need a 15mm stone. You are going to need some 22 gauge round wire, some 20 gauge round wire, some 22 gauge square wire, and 30 gauge round wire. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is take our 20 gauge square wire, round wire, sorry, and measure around our stone, and then double it. So probably about 5 inches there, and go ahead and clip it. Okay. Then we are going to need to get our 30 gauge round wire, about a forearm length, and clip that, and start in the center of our 20 gauge with our 30 gauge also at its center. So it's going to look like this. And then go ahead and wrap each, start on one side and wrap. It's about 20 wraps, not enough yet. 30 wraps on one side, do 30 wraps on the other so that they're even. Make sure you're pinching everything down every so often to make sure they're nice and secure and not all over the place. And then I'm checking to see if we're getting to each of the holes really quickly. We are not. Looks like it's going to need about 5 more wraps on either side. So go ahead and do that. So I'm going to have to be honest with you guys. I definitely make a lot of these tutorials up as I go. So if you're wondering why I never have measurements for you, or why I don't know exactly how many wraps, that is because this is also my first time making this pendant. Okay, and we'll do 3 more wraps on either side. 2, 3. The goal is to have enough wraps to line each side of this wire and the coil up with the center part of the bead where the holes are. Okay, so now that I'm there, I will put one piece of wire through one side of the bead, shove it through, and then I'm going to put the other side of the wire through the part that I just pulled it out of, so that they are crossing each other inside the bead. Then pull them both tight. The bead's going to slide down into place. Hopefully nice and smoothly without any issues for you, like mine just did. And it's going to look like this. Okay? So then we're going to continue to coil. Okay, so just keep this going. Slide it into place as you go. And you are going to go until you hit the center of the top of the stone. So it's going to wrap all the way around you're done, okay? So just keep doing these wraps until you get there, making sure that you're taking your time. The coils aren't going over the top of anything. And sliding them down as you go so that you don't have silly little gaps that you don't like the look of. It's going to be a little bit more annoying for you to wrap these because of the bare wire on the other side. I understand, but you will get there. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. Okay, so now mine comes up to the center there, and I'm going to clip this because I'm done on this side. Okay, sliding that part out of the way, and now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And there we go. This one we're not going to clip the wire, okay? We have these so that they go all the way up and around, like this. And we're not, I repeat, not going to clip this tail wire, okay? Our next step is going to be to get a small piece of our square 22 gauge wire. Get it nice and smooth. And this just needs to be long enough to get around our bead and to attach at the base of where our bail is going to be, here and here. Okay, so I'm going to say about 3 inches is plenty. Today's been an interesting day for trying to sort things out. I was trying to figure out how to make my camera closer after I have been kindly informed that I should try to get them a little bit closer to make it easier for everybody to see, which I totally agree. I hadn't been able to figure out how to do it yet, but so I was trying to lift up my chair, and so I had a bunch of stacks of pillows and trying to jump into the stack of pillows on my chair, and it didn't work. And then I discovered that the stand that I was using to hold my phone, I was using upside down. So I remedied that, and now we have a much closer look at our jewelry, which is great. Okay, so now we're going to have that just empty coil or empty wire there. We're going to clip it and pin it down. Okay, so there's that. We can set this off to the side just for a minute while we work on our coiled coil. So the first thing we're going to need is a piece of 20 gauge round wire, and it's going to need to be long enough to go around the outside of all of our coils, or all of our work so far. So Looks like about 4 inches. That's about 3 inches. I'm lying to you guys. And that'll go all the way around. Okay. And then we need a piece of 22 gauge round wire. This one is going to need to be 4 lengths of the initial wire. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and then we're going to need a very long length of our 30 gauge round because we are going to coil this entire long section. Okay, coiled coils look really cool. I love the way they look. I despise making them. So I'm going to cut my full arm span length piece of 30 gauge round wire, and I'm going to hook it on to the end here with as many wraps as the little tail will allow. Like that. Pinch them together so it actually looks nice. Nope, just punch the camera. Negatives of having the camera a little bit closer, I guess. Okay, so I want to have a little bit of a tail here of bare wire so that I can attach it to our piece. And from here, there's a thing I like to do to kind of speed this up a little bit. I'm going to make a little bend where my wires are already wrapped, okay? And from here, I can... Oh, I did this upside down, didn't I? Yep, I did. Okay, so we're gonna slide it to the other end. What I'm trying to do is have... Oh, that's not gonna work either. Okay, well, never mind with that idea. What I want is for the wire to be across the top here, you see? And then what I can do is I can kind of pin the wire, the 30 gauge wire down to the longer wire. Sorry, the tail of this keeps hitting my camera. And I can twist this bend. So all I'm really doing is just using this as a little hand crank, and the wire is coiling onto it. And with the way that I'm holding it, this wire is going to slide this way while this piece of wire is coiling around. And this will speed it up a little bit, and it'll also help with keeping the wire from overlapping the wires next to it. If you go too fast, it'll still like leave a fairly big space. So you do want to just keep watching everything to make sure that you're not getting any gaps. And if you do, pinch them together. But then you're just going to keep doing this, and as you can see, it's growing. And you're just going to keep doing this until you either A, get to the end of this piece of wire, or B, it's just so floppy that you can't bend it anymore, in which case what you're going to do is straighten this little lever that you've created back out and bend it further up. So I am going to hyperlapse this because this is going to take me a minute. And if I get to a point where I have to reattach a new string or when I need to bend it, I will slow it down and talk to you guys again. All right. Okay, so my coil is starting to get obnoxiously long on this side and making it difficult to do what I'm trying to do. So the way that I remedy this, you may do it differently, is attach this coil to the center piece to make it a coiled coil. So just taking this and attaching it close to the end where I still have space to attach it to the frame. And then I will start to twist this and coil my coil around the 20 gauge wire. So it's looking like that. Just keep doing this till you get to the point that you are still coiling. As you are coiling your coil, you'll notice that they're kind of coming apart a little bit. Like your coil isn't nearly as tight as it was when it was just a straight coil, and that is just fine. You're going to end up getting a little bit more length out of the coil that you've already done before you, compared to what it is when it's just straight coiled. So I'm about right there, which is great for me. And then I'm just going to keep doing what I was doing before. But now I'm going to use the coiled coil as my lever, I guess, my handle, whatever you want to call it. Make sure to slide everything in there. And then as you start getting wonky and long again, you'll just keep coiling it onto your base wire over here. So you're just coiling them both at the same time, essentially. And this is just the method that has always worked the best for me to speed up this process as much as possible. I definitely encourage everyone to test things out, see what works best for them. And yeah, that's really all I can say is everybody is going to find things that work for them and things that don't, and things that work for me might not work for you, but I hope they help. As always, pinching our coil up onto itself to make sure that it's not sliding away and leaving big gaps. Sorry, it keeps blurring with my knuckles in the way. Okay. I'm going to check this against what we have really quick just to make sure I don't make it a million miles too long, because there's always potential for that, but I don't want to do that today. Well, we got another probably ½ inch, so just gonna straighten that back out and keep going. I'm gonna hyperlapse again. Okay, so now I'm at the length that I need for my piece, so I'm going to clip my 30 gauge wire off. And then I'm going to give this 2 twists with the bare wire just to make sure it's nice and secure, and clip the 22 gauge wire off and pinch it down. Now this can be done if that's what you want, or what I'm going to do, because I like the way it looks more, is clip a second piece of the 22 gauge round wire at 4.5 times as long as the base wire. 3, okay, 4, and so 4.5 would be right there. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put my wire right here on the outside of this coil and just pin it down with my fingers for a minute, And then I'm going to slowly lay this coil in between the coils. So each of these little cracks, I'm going to fill with this wire so it looks like that. I just like the way that this looks more. If you like the way that looks more, go for it. It's totally up to you with this portion. I really hope that wasn't something I needed for this design that I just launched off the table. With my luck it was, but it's fine. Come on. There we go. It is really important to take your time if you are choosing to do this step, because you want them to lay exactly where you want them to lay. You don't want to pull them too tight so that they go in between, like force itself down in between two of the coils and cause like a weird gap. You just want it to lay kind of on top-ish. Like you want it to go down in there, but you don't want it to go down in there, if that makes sense. So you're just going to keep on coiling till you get to the end. Okay, and then pinch it down so that it doesn't go anywhere. And then you have this tail from where you started. You can pinch it down and clip it off so that it is stuck in place as well. Okay, now you have this piece to attach to your pendant. Okay, so we're going to grab our piece. And so last time we attached the wire to the front. This time we're going to attach it to the back so that it sits down. And by sits down, I mean it stays under the two wires that we have attached already. Just because it is larger, we don't want to hide everything away. And I'm going to bend this so that I can hook it onto the wire first. And then I'm going to try to knock my cup of tea off the counter over here. So that sounds like a fun plan. So I'm attaching this coiled coil to what will be our bail from the back side. And clipping, making sure I don't clip my weaving wire that I have for the bail. And then I'm going to run this back and around the bottom. Get the weaving wire out of my way. And then attaching it on the other side. Just like I did before, we're going to pinch it, or we're going to make a little bit of a hook go from the back side of what we have created so far. Twist it around like that. Pinch it down and in like that. And then we are going to clip it in a way that we can continue to twist it down and in, but making sure that the tail is as hidden as we can so nobody's getting poked. So now we have this for what we have created so far. And we're going to start working on the bail. So I'm going to go across and give it 1, 2, 3, 4 wraps. I'm going to go on the same. Oh, that's why when I was putting those wires on, I said be careful not to clip it. So now I'm going to take the wire that I clipped off earlier and attach it to one side with 2 wraps, leaving a little bit of a tail just so that if it wants to slide, it doesn't take away the piece. Okay, then I'm going to go to the other side and 1, 2 wraps. And then I'll come back over to this first side, come over the top, 1, 2 wraps, switching from the bottom to the other side, 1, 2 wraps. And we're just going to go back and forth like this, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, do that a couple of times. And then we're going to adjust a little bit. So I want mine to have a little bit of a splayed out looking bail, so just keeping this V going until it's as wide as I want it to be. 1, 2 wraps, slide across, 1, 2 wraps. And we're just going to do this until it's about 3/4 of an inch and as wide as we want it to be. Taking our time, making sure everything is tight. And that we're not kinking the wire so that in between is nice and straight still. Okay, 1, 2, switch. You can also use your pliers if your fingers, like mine, are not wanting to fit properly. And then pin this down. I still have that little piece of wire from earlier that I snapped off accidentally. I'm going to bend these forward just a little bit so I can see exactly how much further I need this bail to go. It's looking like it's about the right height. So, grabbing that weaving wire that I had earlier, I'm going to connect it. And then I'm just going to continue on with my pattern at the width that it's at. I don't want it to grow wider anymore. I want it to stay the same because I like the way that looks. So I'm going to go 1, 2, switch, 1, 2, switch. your wraps. If you're ending your wrap at the top, on top of the wire, you should be starting at the bottom of the other one. If you're ending underneath, you should be starting on top when you cross over. Okay, so now we're at this point, and I need the wires to start coming together. Okay, so I'm going to have them gently slope back together and have my wires be parallel toward the end, and I'm going to firmly hold the wires that I have wrapped in place, because since we're decreasing the width, it's going to want to slide down. We don't want that, because then we're going to end up with gaps. So just take your time, make sure you're holding everything in place as best you can. Also, this is going to be the back of the piece, so it's not like too much of cause of concern, but you still want it to look as nice as you can make it. So take your time and hold your wires still. Okay, now we've got our full thing. Bend it down, see where we're at. We've got a nice coil, a nice bail. So we've got everything sitting where we want it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip my weaving wire so that it's on the inside of the weave so that there isn't any scratchy bits. And I'm going to take the short wire and bend it forward like this. And then I'm going to slowly form a little spiral there. And I'm gently using my pliers. I really don't want to mar anything, but I also want them to be nice and secure. So just gently use your pliers if you need to pinch them into place. And close the loop. So we've got that nice little spiral there now. And then I would like to put the other spiral down at the bottom like this. Okay, so now we have this. And the final step that I want to do is this little area is a little looser than I want it to be. So I've got a little tail end of a piece of 30 gauge wire. I'm going to put it in between these two, if my shaky fingers will allow. Find the middle. So it's like that. Give it one wrap, like that, so it'll look like that on the top now. And then this wire that is on top of everything here, let's see if I can, it's coming out on top of that little wire. I'm going to put it down and under our first coil that we made, the one with the 30 gauge. I'm going to put it down and under. Let's see. This part's always a little frustrating, especially if you've put it in, everything in nice and tight. So I can slide this up like this probably. Where would be the best? There it is. There it goes. And then I'm going to use my pliers to pull it out. If I can pinch it and not push it back through. There it is. Okay, and then slide that the rest of the way through so it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to make sure that everybody is staying in the center as much as possible. And now that I have it under the second wire, I'm going to keep it on top of my coiled coil the way that it is, and I'm going to pull it down and in. And it's going to be hidden inside that coiled coil. And I'm going to pull it back around my coiled coil. And I'm going to tighten it in, okay? I'm going to do this twice. So once, and this is number 2. And when it comes back up this time, I'm going to make sure that I'm pulling it nice and snug. And then I'm going to, well, that did it for me. I'm going to clip it so that the tail end of it is on the top here, like it just did for me automatically. That way it's not in the back trying to make a poke hazard. Okay, so now this one is coming from behind our 20 gauge or 22 gauge square on top there. I'm going to put it down. It's just kind of floating over the top of this smaller spiral, and it's going under my coiled coil now. And this one I'm going to do a little bit differently because I have this spiraled wire that we connected earlier. I'm going to slide it this way and wrap it on there, just because I can give it a few more wraps there so it'll stay, and it'll help keep that spiral in place too so it doesn't want to wiggle at all. So 3, I'm going to give it 5 wraps. And then I'm going to clip it so that it is on the bottom side of that coil inside of the pendant, and make sure I don't clip the wire that's coming across. Okay, so here's the back, and then here is our front. I'm going to pin this coil down, or this spiral down, just a little bit better because it's kind of poking up a little bit. I don't like that. And there's our pendant. From here, you can choose to oxidize or not, depending on your preferences, but everything should be nice and secure. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a comment of what kind of stone you used in it if you made this pendant. Have a great day. Bye.